Alright guys, well thanks for tuning in. Just so you know, in addition to helping students individually with individual problems, I'm also going to be doing these series dedicated to each branch of math in high school. But I'm going to get right into it because I want to keep these videos quick. So today's topic is coordinate planes. They're also called Cartesian planes, and I'm just going to kind of give you my definition of what a coordinate plane is as I draw it. A coordinate plane is a fundamental, in my opinion, a fundamental tool that you will be using for the rest of your math career. It's sort of a visual aid to kind of help you analyze the relationship between certain variables or certain quantities. So, for example, if you want to analyze distance versus time, you can do that in miles per hour. You can analyze that graphically on a Cartesian plane like this. You could do the amount of money you make versus the amount of hours you work. That's another example. But today we're just going to kind of just use numbers. We're just going to use these variables x and y. So the x is assigned, in this case, the x is assigned to the horizontal axis, which is representative of the independent variable, which is the variable that you manipulate or that can change on its own. And the y, in this case, is assigned to the vertical axis, which is the dependent variable, which was representative of the dependent variable, and the difference between those is basically in the name. It's dependent, which means that the value of x will determine the value of y. In other words, the y is dependent upon the x in this case. So the dependent variable is dependent upon the independent. So let's say your teacher. Oh, before I get into that, there are some key properties that I do want to go over. There are 4 distinct quadrants in the coordinate plane. There's quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I want to note that I am going counterclockwise as I label these, and that's very important, especially when you're graphing like angle stuff in like trigonometry. But you'll get into that way later. It's just important to know that you're going counterclockwise. Another thing is that the intersection points form right angles. And what does that mean? Well, that means that these lines are perpendicular. So every angle here is a right angle. That's basically the basic definition of a perpendicular set of lines, is that their intersection points only form right angles. The last thing I want to mention here is that their intersection point is also called the origin, often represented by O, and all that is like it's just a basic reference point. It's the intersection point between the two axes. So I'm going to get rid of these labels just so I can clear things up. So let's say your teacher gives you a random table, x, y, with a series of values. I'm also going to label 0, 0. So let's say we have 0 and 0, 1, 1, 2 and 2, 3, 3, and let's do one more, 4, 4. So how would we go about graphing this? Well, I'm going to relate back to sort of an easy concept in pre-algebra, I believe it was pre-algebra, called the number line. Pretty easy. We have a number line here, and we have 0 labeled right there. So if we wanted to plot the point 5, what would we do? We would go 5 points to the right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's pretty simple. Let's see if I can... Okay. I'm going to do this with my mouse. Okay. So that's 5. Alright. And then if we wanted to plot the point, let's say, -1/2. We go over 1... 2, and then -1/2 would be the midpoint between -1 and -2, which would be right here. And I'm going to label that -3/2, which is the same thing as -1/2. So that was pretty easy. We basically all it was counting, right? And it's no different with our x and y components. The only thing is that for y, it's just a different direction. That's all. That's the only thing. You're just doing it in 2 different directions. You're counting basically. So let's start off with 0, 0, also known as our origin, right? We don't really have to do anything. We automatically know where the origin is. It's just this intersection point right here. And then the second point, we have 1, 1. Another thing I might want to add is that in this notation right here, the first coordinate is always the x value, or the independent variable, and the second coordinate will always be the y value, or the dependent variable. So we're going to continue on. Then we just have 2, 2 here. 3, 3, this is just notation, proper notation. 4, 4. So now that we've written all our coordinate points in, like, I guess proper notation, I guess that's how you would call it. We're gonna go plot them now. Let me go back to my drawing tool. So it's basically just counting from here, guys. So if we want to look at the divided into the x and y components, so the second one was 1 1. So we know that the first point, the first value is the x value, and then the second value is the y value. So we're just going to go over 1 and then up 1. So we're going to label that 1 1, and there's a dot right there. That's where we're going to put our point. And then the third one, 2 2. Just that simple. 2 2. There we go. 3 3. 3 3. All we're doing is just counting, guys. It's just that simple. And then finally we have 4 4. 4 and 4. They're not exactly evenly spaced. I know they should be, but all right. And then all we do here, guys, unless it's a scatter plot, you don't connect the points. But this is a basic line graph, so we will be connecting the points. And that's it, guys. We just connect. Actually, that's not good. We just connect the points, and we're done. That's it. That's how you do a line graph on a coordinate plane. It's how you graph it. It's just that simple. All right, guys. Well, I'm not going to mention anything else in this video. There's so many things I could talk about in this video, like slope, which is basically rate. There's so many things I can get into, but I'm going to stop it right now. And I think that's a decent first video for me. I mean, I'm new to this. I'm not a teacher. I'm doing my best here, but yeah. Anyways, thanks guys so much for watching and paying attention to my videos. And I'll get back to you guys as soon as possible. And don't be afraid to email me if you have any questions on anything from basic math to pre-calculus. And that's about it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.